I will never for the future paint a picture of a tyrant until his head lies before me on the scaffold. Jacques-Louis David. On July 14, 1789, a mob of Parisian revolutionaries seized the Bastille fortress, a prison, in retaliation against the pain and suffering they had gone through at the hands of their government and king, King Louis XVI. The storming of Bastille, represented in this illustration by Jean-Pierre Raoul, is often seen as the symbolic beginning of the French Revolution, the mark of a 10-year-long battle that changed France forever. But these 10 years have been covered, time and time again. But today, instead, we'll be focusing on one playing part in the execution of the events of the French Revolution. Specifically, I present Jacques-Louis David, An Artist's Impact on Revolution, by Felicity Stone. 1. Introduction. Jacques-Louis David began his career at the Royal Academy of the Louvre, studying painting. His pieces started with a focus on the Greco-Roman, creating pieces that were very famous like the Oath of Virati or the Death of Socrates. But soon, his focus shifted as he was thrust into the high life and started craving for political aspirations. 2. The Tennis-Court Oath. On the 20th of June, 1789, a group of revolutionaries made up of many members of the Third Estate of France, or the Common Class, met in the royal tennis court of Versailles, as to remain hidden, in order to make an oath to not separate and to reassemble whenever necessary until the constitution of the kingdom is established, a pivotal agreement in the beginning of the revolution. And just 1 month later, the revolution began. There were many influential figures present at the tennis court oath, including our influential painter Jacques-Louis David. His drawing commemorating the event, entitled The Tennis Court Oath, drawn on the 1-year anniversary of the event, has become one of the most widespread representations of what occurred on that fateful day in June. Pictured here is the monumental piece David created. We can see that the illustration is shaded with beiges, where the lines are tight and crisp. The flow of these lines brings action to the piece, air blowing in the winds of future. The composition is crowded, but our notable figures are given much detail in the foreground, giving them a sense of importance of the muddled figures in the background. As an illustration, this piece doesn't have quite as much depth or richness as other pieces of David, but nonetheless, it shows the technique and style of this wonderful artist. But who are these figures, and why are they portrayed in this way? What exactly are they representing? Well, in the front and center are 3 figures: a Protestant in the center, a Carthusian monk in the left, an Abbé Henri Baptiste Gregory, a patriot, an abolitionist, and an advocate against anti-Semitism, seen on the right. The union of these 3 figures represents the unity of religion, and by the time this painting was made, it also represented the fact that clergymen were sworn to be civil servants, and thus part of the Third Estate, as long as they wanted to be part of the revolution. Other notable figures include Jean-Sylvain Bailly, administering the oath, who soon after these events earned the hatred of these same revolutionaries and was executed as an anti-reformer. Honoré Gabriel Viette, a prominent figure in the constitution of the revolution, who was revealed post-mortem to be a spy for the queen. Abier Emmanuel Joseph Sieyès, the author of Who is the Third Estate, which sparked the fuel of the revolutionary fire and a propellant of Napoleon's power. Martin Josh, the only one there not to sign the oath, seen praying in the corner, possibly for his own future. On the top 2 corners, we see other figures representing the people of France, like a father of son, seen on the right, as well as the winds blowing in change in the future from the left. 3. The Death of Murat. On July 17th, 1793, leader of the Jacobin Party, a leading political party in France at the time, and revolutionary Jean-Paul Murat, was assassinated and killed by Charlotte Corday. Corday believed that Murat's death was the only way to prevent the ongoing reign of terror, which completely backfired, as it made Murat a martyr for the Jacobins to campaign off of, and of Corday a symbol of how one could resist the Jacobins, serving to only divide the 2 sides even more. Many oppositions, including Corday, were simply against the violent direction that the revolution and the Jacobins were headed in. However, in the way that Corday ended up killing, she simply went in the same suit that the Jacobins always went in. Murat's assassination, meant to be in public, actually ended up occurring inside his own bathtub, as he had a skin condition that bound him there. Killed in broad daylight, Murat screamed for his wife downstairs, before bleeding out. However, just a day before, he was met by his good friend, and our focus yet again, Jean-Louis David. Jean-Louis David, throughout much of the Revolution, served as a propaganda machine for the Jacobins, and his painting The Death of Murat is seen as his masterpiece in this propaganda area and overall. This merit is admittedly well-deserved, as the painting serves as a beautiful representation for both neoclassicism and the French Revolution. Murat is painted with a peaceful smile, a representation of one of the last things he is recorded to have said to David. 10 years more or less than the duration of my life do not concern me, he had said. My only desire is to be able to say with my last breath, I am happy the fatherland has saved me. He is painted idealistically, especially seeing as the man was facing a harsh skin condition not shown in the painting, as well as the fact that he had been seen as an outcast most of his life, partially due to him being described as an ugly and extravagant man. Much like many other pieces in the neoclassical era, Murat is painted, again, very peacefully, and the piece contrasts the man he was, or at least the man he was being portrayed as by David and the Jacobins, against the harsh death that he had faced. The painting is soft, and we can see him clutching to the papers of the Revolution, marking his death as a page in the glorious book of the Jacobins. 4. Supplementary works. Throughout the Revolution, David had never had a still moment. As a part of the Jacobin Party, and at one point the president of the Jacobin Party, he was in charge of costuming as well as many of the big public events. Additionally, he created a multitude of other pieces throughout the Revolution, like this sketch of Marie Antoinette on her way to the guillotine. Even in such a quick sketch, we can see the fear and emotion in her face, highlighting just how much of an amazing artist that Jean-Louis David was. Conclusion. After the Revolution, David held much power in politics and took much advantage of this power, eventually finding himself in a luxury prison, the Palais de Luxembourg. By the time Napoleon took over, he was released from prison and was appointed as his court painter, back in power once again. He held roles as an advisor to Napoleon and as a teacher and mentor, and by the time he died in 1825, the man had taken on every art and politic career that one could think of. Jacques-Louis David held a controversial position most of his life. He was a prominent figure of the Jacobin Party for most of the Revolution, which is controversial enough as is. However, his art has an undeniable impact on the events of the Revolution and our ideas of who had the power and why. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learn more about the art of Jacques-Louis David, and here is my works cited.